Do you ever find you get so busy during the day, you're just doing it, going. But at the end of the day, you're exhausted and you wonder what you actually achieved. You spend all your day working for the man, selling your time to pay bills, but you never get round to the things that really matter to you. In this video, I'm going to give you 5 steps that I found allow you to take your time and your life back. The things that matter most to you should never be at the mercy of the things that matter least. And that's what I want to cover in this video. And if you stay till the very end, I will give you a tool that I promise will virtually make you more productive overnight. G'day and welcome. My name is Willem, and on this channel I share the philosophies and principles that Mr. Jim Rohn shared with me over 30 years ago. By applying and executing on those fundamentals, as Mr. Rohn liked to call them, in both my personal life and in my business, I've been able to create a life where I can live it on my terms. And I sincerely wish the same for you. Okay, let's dive straight in to step number 1. And step number 1 is you've got to decide what it is that are the most important things in your life. The things that are the most important big rocks in your life. I actually keep my big rocks on my desk here. You can see they're written on big stones because, as I showed in another video, if you don't put these big rocks of your life into your day first, guess what? They never ever happen. Now, everybody's big rocks is a little bit different, but for most people, it would obviously be your health, because without a healthy body, you're not going anywhere. Relationships, their spirituality, and then it might vary for different people across the world in different areas. But you've got to spend some time and decide what is really important to me. It might be a hobby. You might be a really keen woodworker and you find you never get around to doing any woodwork. Or you might enjoy craft, or you might enjoy knitting or sewing. But you find that at the end of the week, there's just not enough time left to do the things that you really enjoy or that matter to you. So step number 1 is sit down, reflect, and with a piece of paper and a pencil, write down what are the most important things in your life. For me, my health is critical. I'm not getting any younger. My relationship with Jen is critical. My leisure, I enjoy golf. I'm at my happiest when I'm out on a golf course on a lovely sunny day. And travel is another one of my big rocks. I really want to see as much of the world as I can. But it's different for everybody. And my big rocks don't necessarily have to be your big rocks. But I think most people would agree that health and relationships and financial independence are right up there amongst everybody's big rocks. And if they are, write them down, and then we'll go to step number 2. Step number 2 is plan your week in advance. Once you know the things that matter most to you, the big rocks in your life, you now have to somehow squeeze them into your week. Now that's hard, especially if you've got children, you've got a full-time job. There's a whole lot of things going on in your life, and there's never enough time to do everything. However, I have found over the years that there's always enough time to do the most important things, but you've got to sit down and you've got to plan that in advance. If you just hope that somehow you'll fit things in through the day, through the week, I promise you, it just doesn't happen. It has to be in a calendar. I could shout this from the highest rooftops and I would bang a drum, and the message I would like to get across, if nothing else through this video, is if you don't put it in your calendar, if you don't put it in your Outlook diary or your Apple calendar, it won't happen. It has to go into a calendar somewhere. You've either got to write it down physically, put it down digitally, but somewhere on your week ahead, there's got to be the big rocks in your life that are most important to you. So for me, for instance, my health, there's time allocated in my calendar every day for at least 1 hour, 60 minutes of exercise, preferably more. There's time with Jen that we spend together, and there's also time in my diary for my financial independence. I reconcile my accounts every day, and it's in my calendar. Now, it might only take me 10 minutes, but it's in my calendar and I can tick it off as I do it. So that's the next step. grab yourself a calendar. Now, this is best done on a Saturday or a Sunday before you start the week. Once you're into Monday, it's all too late. So it's got to be done either on a Saturday or a Sunday. Many people, some of the most successful people I know, plan their weeks on a Sunday evening. It's just a routine. After Sunday dinner, they get time away from the family, and for an hour or so, they sit down and they plan their week. So it's got to work for you, whatever time is best for you. Sometimes people like to plan while everybody else is still asleep. That's fine. But sit down, plan the week in advance. Mr. Rohn told me, and he was quite emphatic, he said, do not start the day until you have it finished on paper. I'm sure he would accept Outlook calendar in this day and age. And he said, if you want to be successful, don't start the week till you have it finished. And that's what I would like to get across to you. Sit down, make some time, and spend some time on the weekend before you start your week and plan the week in advance. Remember, if you don't have a plan for your life and how you're going to spend your time, you will become part of someone else's plan. You will become part of your relative's plan. You will become part of your boss's plan. You will become part of McDonald's plan or Netflix's plan. You've got to sit down and say, okay, this is my life. This is my time. This is how I want to spend it. So that's step number 2, plan the week in advance. Let's go to step number 3. And step number 3 is this: commit to your personal appointments. Once you put a time in your calendar for your exercise, for your financial accounts, for relationships, time with the people you love, you have to commit to those and no excuses. Just as you would to a cardio surgeon who's made an appointment to see you in 3 weeks' time. What I find from my experience is this is where people trip up and why they never exceed at the level they want to exceed. They might put in, for instance, okay, after work at 5:30 in the afternoon, I'm going to go to the gym and work out for an hour. And they get to 5:30 and guess what? They've had an exhausting day, the boss has been crap, and now they're tired. All they want to do is go home and have a drink. And that's where the problems start. So I'm asking you, once you commit to an appointment in your calendar, commit to it like it's a matter of life and death. Because in the end, it really is. It's your life. And if you don't make those appointments, if you don't keep those appointments with yourself, the things that you really want to achieve, the things that will take you to the next level financially, in your career, in your job, in your health, they just won't happen and you will drift. You will drift from day to day, week to week, year to year. And before you know it, there's 10 more years down the road. I love the song Time by Pink Floyd. They're one of my favorite bands. And in Time, the lyrics are this: and then one day you find 10 years have got behind you. No one told you when to run. You missed the starting gun. You will be staggered how quickly 10 years can go by. They don't go by that fast if you commit to your appointment. So that's step number 3. Commit to your appointments, please. I just can't emphasize this strong enough. Put it in your calendar and commit to it. I attend a weekly accountability meeting online with great friends that I've got in the States and here in Australia. And the biggest area where we have problems is committing to doing the things we said we would do the week before. And what happens? Life gets in the way. As Mike Tyson famously said, everybody has a plan until they get punched in the face. And the problem with moving from Sunday evening when you're doing your planning to the following Sunday is life gets in the way. And it's tough. I'm the first to admit it's tough. You need a lot of discipline, but if you really want to go to the next level, you've got to commit to those times that you've put aside for the big rocks in your life. Okay, step number 4 may be obvious by now, and that is turn off all distractions. The biggest impediment to being productive and getting things done and living the big rocks in your life are the constant distraction that we face, especially in 2022. Mr. Rohn would never have foreseen the rate of distractions that are now happening in the world. He knew that there were distractions, but they were more from a personal matter or people interrupting you. These days, our phones are a constant source of distraction, and they really do stop you being the best version of yourself. So my advice to you is this: if you are working on something that's really important to you, turn off the phone, put it in another room if you have to. Turn off Outlook, turn off everything on your computer except what it is that you're working on. So let's say, for instance, you're doing an online course, and this online course, if you complete it and you execute on it, will allow you to start your very first business and have a passive income that you never ever dreamed about 5 months ago. But to do that, to complete that course, you need focused time, you need to concentrate, and you've got to be free of all distractions. So turn everything else off, shut the door, leave the outside world alone just for the period of time where you're going to focus on whatever it is you want to do. So when I'm working on a project or something that's really important to me, I actually have one of these and I put it on my desk. This is an hourglass, and when I work on something, I put it there and I promise myself I will not get up. I won't do anything else until that hour has passed. I need to be totally focused on what I'm doing. I'm a very visual person. I like to have things around me that are constantly reminding of what I needed to do. That's why I have the big rocks in a jar. It's why I have an hourglass when I'm focusing on work. I just find it's the best way. You could use an alarm clock. It doesn't matter what you use, but have something to remind you, okay, this is a big rock in my life. I need to put this time aside. I don't want to be distracted. Okay, let's go to step number 5 and that bonus tip that I promised earlier in the video. But before we do, if you're finding this educational or useful, could you like the video? It really does help. And maybe subscribing, because there's a lot of these videos coming down the track in the next few months. Okay, let's go to step number 5. Step number 5 is spend time reflecting. Now, Mr. Rohn thought this was one of the most important times of the day. He used to call it replaying the tapes, which sort of shows the era that Jim Rohn grew up in, when we had cassette tapes and videotapes. We don't do that anymore. So in other words, at the end of the day, just spend some time and reflect on the day. Did you keep to the appointments that you set yourself? The big rocks in your life, did you actually get those done? Or were you distracted? Did life catch up with you? And the same thing at the end of the week. Reflect on the week. On the weekend, sometime, get some quiet time aside and reflect on your past week. Did you achieve what you wanted to achieve? Did you see who you wanted to see? Did you do the things that you said you would do for your health, your wealth, your relationships? And if you didn't, learn from that and say, okay, next week, I'm going to have to do something a little bit differently. And at the end of the month, reflect on the past month. Now, a month is a long time to reflect on, but I promise if you go through your calendar, because everything is in there now, everything that you said you were going to do should be in there. And you can reflect back over the month and go, did I do what I said I would do? And if not, why not? At the end of the month, I actually come up with a don't do list. We all know what a to-do list is, but at the end of the month, I reflect and I say, you know what, those things there and there, I should never do that, and I'm not going to do that again. That's something I don't want to do. And so I write a don't list at the end of the month and promise myself those areas where I let myself down, those areas where I was not as productive as I would have liked to have been, they go on my to-don't list. Now, at the beginning of this video, I promised you a bonus tip, and this is it. You can go and get one of these at Amazon or Etsy. I bought this about a year ago, 2 years ago now. And why it's so powerful, it's that essentially it tells the rest of the world that you're not available. If I'm working here in my office, I put it on the door, and my team and Jen knows that I'm basically working on something and I don't want to be disturbed. And it tells them when I'm going to be back. So I'm not saying to them, look, don't contact me. I don't want to see you for the rest of the day. They know if they want to see me about something or discuss something with me, then I'll be finished at, in this case, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Then they're welcome to come in the door and have a chat to me. Where I find a lot of people become unproductive, especially if you're in a senior role or a management role, people are always on your door or on your phone and they say, have you got a minute? Or it's just a quick one. It's always just a quick one, right? What happens is you just lose your momentum. You can't get productive. The only way I find that I can get really good work done, where I can get into flow state, where I feel I'm really productive and moving forward, is if I turn off the rest of the world. And my team understand that. They know that's the way I operate because I've explained it to them. I said nothing personal, but when this is out on my door and the door's closed, it will tell you when I'm available again, and I would be more than happy to talk to you then. I even turn off my phone. My phone is on basically do not disturb all day. If it's important, leave me a voicemail. Sometime during the day, I'll check my voicemails, I'll get back to you. But having that time alone to really focus on what you want to do, that is probably the most important tip I can give you. Shut out the rest of the world. Now, if you enjoyed this video on how to get the most out of your day, your week, your month, I know you would enjoy the video I did on creating a plan for your financial independence. I will put the link in the comments below. Till next time, make sure you live a life on your terms.